Greetings, this is Adam Stevens, PGIS coach at Frederick Douglass High School. I just wanted to walk you through how to complete your self-reflection in PGP in Frontline. This, of course, is due by the 60th instructional day of the school year, so November 12th for the 2019-2020 school year. And it really is very simple. It does take a little bit of time, but if you've not done this before and you're not familiar with Frontline, it can seem a little daunting. So here I am in Frontline. To get to where I am, you simply want to log into Frontline and click the My Info section over here, this little button, and it'll take you to a page where you scroll to the bottom and it has a couple tasks for you to complete this school year. One is the self-reflection and professional growth planning, the initial one, and the second one is the reflection for your PGP. So you don't have to worry about the reflection until the end of the year after you've tried to accomplish that professional growth goal. But the initial, again, has to be completed within the first 60 days. So we start here at the self-reflection, and it simply is just an opportunity for you to think about your own practice for each one of the components in the framework for teaching. You'll notice that for each one of the components, you can give yourself a score of ineffective to exemplary. And after you've given yourself a score, you simply just click in the box. You click a link here and it opens up a text box in which you can enter a rationale for why you gave yourself that score. So once you've gone through each one of these components, and again, this is the most time-intensive part of the process, you come to the bottom, and this is where you identify your priority areas. So if you gave yourself a developing for a particular area, let's say it was 3B questioning, then you would come down here and you would select the radio button for 3B, and that simply just identifies areas of growth for your professional practice. After you've done that, you would go again, maybe even go up and reference whichever one you're focused on. So if I put questioning here, I would choose developing here, maybe if I have a developing up top. Then it gets to the PGP part, and the PGP part can be just a little daunting. So people don't always know how to craft these statements succinctly. So I've come up with just a very simple PGP worksheet that you can look at to make your SMART goal for your PGP very easily. So you'll notice here in the template, the year is identified, and then you say simply, what do you want to improve about your practice? So in bold is where you would put what you want to improve about your practice. And then your plan by which you improve that aspect of your practice would follow. That's what's in italics here. And then lastly, the underlying component is how you know you're going to accomplish your goal. So underneath that, I have an example of a PGP statement that incorporates all those different aspects. And really, once you've done those three things listed here, you've done really all the thinking you need to do for your PGP. So, for example, for the 2019-20 school year, I will improve the frequency of high-level thinking questions in my sophomore mathematics classes by reading Kagan's higher-level thinking questions for secondary mathematics book, researching and implementing strategies for engaging students with discipline-specific inquiry, and redesigning my formative assessments to incorporate analytical and evaluative tasks and processes. And then how I'm going to measure this, this goal will be measured through revised lesson plans, walkthrough and observation data, and improved standards-based student performances. So this is a lot here, but I just wanted to give you kind of a lot of different things you could include. So for example, I have a book I'm reading, I have some research I'm doing, and then of course I'm working on my actual formative assessments to reflect the kinds of questions that I'm using in class. You wouldn't have to do all three necessarily, but just for the sake of modeling, I wanted to include those. And then last, I have artifacts and data, observational data, as well as student performance data to show that my frequency of higher level thinking questions is, positively impacting student achievement. So again, that's all the thinking that really needs to go into a PGP. So once I have completed that, I can simply just copy and paste this statement into Frontline. So I've already done that here, and that is my goal statement. And you can see each one of the bullets up top here. What do I want to change about my instruction has been answered here. What is my personal learning to make this change? Again, I've identified it in the plan. And then what are the measures of success? That's identified at the end of the statement. So beneath you have some areas here where you can expound on some of those aspects. So, what's the professional learning? Again, I'm going to reference up top here. I'm reading a book on inquiry, and I'm researching, um, question strategies from best practice that improve student engagement. And I can put that here. That could be a workshop. It could be my own personal study. It could be a collaboration with another teacher who's really good at inquiry. Resources and support. Maybe I could list people here as resources, material resources, so on and so forth, as ways that I'm supporting my learning. And then the targeted completion date, of course, if I'm a non-tenured teacher, I would put April 15th because that's when my evaluations due. If I'm a tenured summative teacher, it would be May 15th. And then, of course, if I'm a tenured teacher in my formative cycle, that would just simply be by the end of the school year. And then the measurement of your goal attainment would, again, go back up the statement. As I said before, you've done all the thinking you already, all the thinking you need to do. It's right here. Walkthrough data, observation data, improve standards-based student performances, revise lesson plans. And then what do I expect? What do I expect student growth impact? For this particular goal statement, I would expect that my student performances on mathematics standards-based assessments would improve. I'm asking students higher level questions. I am assessing their understanding of that standard on a much deeper level, and their understanding of that standard and mastery of that standard should reflect that improved pedagogy. So I would just simply type that here, and then documentation intended to demonstrate. I have artifacts because I identified a lesson plan. Observation data is something that I identified up top as well. And then I could hit other, and I could put my student standards-based performances here. But it gives you a few other options as well. Once you've done that, you just come down here, you date it, you sign it, and you submit it to your evaluator, at which point they can review it and give you feedback if there are revisions necessary, or approve it if everything looks good. And that simply just becomes your plan for the year to improve your practice. And at the end of the year, right before your evaluations are due, that's your opportunity to go back in and reflect on how you progressed in trying to attain that goal. As always, I am around if you have professional growth and effectiveness systems questions. I know the framework really well and have evaluated teachers for years. So if you have any questions about creating your PGP or artifacts, measures, and so on, feel free to reach out to me. I am in the A200 hallway at the very end next to Mr. Mead, or you can email me. Take care.